Thank you. President Trump is engaged in massive corruption. There is a government for sale sign flashing its lights on the lawn of the White House. He's selling access and influence through two types of crypto coins. A meme coin, which is a digital baseball card, and he invited the 220 people who gave him the most money for these digital baseball cards, called a meme coin, to come to a dinner where he feed them at his fancy Virginia golf club, held 2 weeks ago. And he said, oh, and the top 25 buyers of my meme coin, those buyers will get some other special access, a special tour. 220 people gave the president $148 million, approximately. And they didn't give him $148 million in order to have a digital baseball card. They gave it because he was conveying that this would give you access and influence. As the president of Freight Technologies, Inc. said, I bought $2 million of these coins. I'm hoping to buy $20 million of these coins because I want the president to change a policy related to freight transportation between Mexico and the United States of America. That CEO was saying out loud what everyone else understood, that the president was selling access and influence. And that's not all. There's another type of Trump coin, crypto coin, that is inducing this corrupt practices. It's called a stable coin. And a company associated with United Arab Emirates said, you know, we're going to buy $2 billion of your coins, and guess what? You get to keep the value of everything earned on that $2 billion deposit. Even at 4%, that's $80 million a year. And what did UAE want? UAE wanted advanced AI chips in order to have an advanced AI center in the Arab Emirates. Well, what did we see transpire? UAE repeatedly advocated for having access to these chips that the United States had previously said were a security risk. Then a company closely associated with UAE buys $2 billion of Trump's USD1 stablecoin. And then President Trump says, oh, you know what? You can have these AI chips. After all, we'll help you establish an advanced AI processing artificial intelligence center in Abu Dhabi, one of the UAE Emirates. That's corruption, laid out as black and white as you could ever see it. This is incredible. This is what we expect of very poor, impoverished countries with dictators running the place, taking a cut of everything. But instead, it's the President of the United States doing it. And our founders said this should never be allowed. Hamilton noted the reason that there is an emoluments clause in the Constitution. He said in Federalist 22, he said, many mortifying examples of the prevalency of foreign corruption in Republican governments. So here were our founders putting together this series of checks and balances, separation of powers between a judiciary, an executive, and a legislative branch. But they knew it could all be corrupted if you had an executive, that is a president, who could be bought. Well, folks, we have a president who is being bought, who is advertising it to the world, and we haven't acted to stop it. Our founders acted. They put a clause into the Constitution that said, no person holding any office of profit or trust under them, that of course included the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, all of us here who are elected, shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. Well, MGX, the head of MGX, is the National Security Advisor of the United Arab Emirates. This company is absolutely intertwined with this foreign government. Our Constitution forbids this type of gift to a president or a vice president or any one of us. So here is the fact. We are right now debating a bill dealing with cryptocurrencies. So this is the time to debate and vote on an amendment that bans these corrupt practices. And for that reason, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate resumes consideration of Amendment 2307, post-closure, that the pending Amendment 2310 be set aside so I may offer my Amendment 2349, which would stop the corruption in stable coins for any elected official, federal official of the United States of America.
Is there objection?
Mr. President?
Senator from North Carolina. South Carolina, sorry, brother.
No problem, brother. Reserving the right to object. I think it's pretty rich for the party of Biden to talk about improprieties. I object.
Objection heard.
Mr. President, I hear an objection from my friend and colleague, the head of the Banking Committee. But would my friend and colleague explain why we shouldn't, while we are on a cryptocurrency bill, not consider and debate an amendment to honor the emoluments clause of the U.S. Constitution?
My good friend on the other side of this issue, it is...
Senator from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's pretty clear that the underlying assumption is that there's already something nefarious going on, and I simply object to casting aspersions towards the President of the United States, particularly given the fact that this is the party, not Jeff, but the party that had cocaine in the White House, that had a problem with Hunter Biden's laptop. My point is, I'm not going to cast aspersions on the President of the United States without any clear evidence that any law has been broken, and I do not believe that there has been.
Well, to my colleague.
Senator from Oregon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I asked to be recognized. We're in the middle of a series of presentations here.
You recognize you.
You're recognized.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I could understand if my colleague was objecting because that amendment only covers one type of cryptocurrency that is being used in this fashion. And therefore, I'll present a different option, which is to say we should address both the sale of meme coins as a way to profit from people wanting to give us money, and we should also cover the stable coins as well. And so this broader amendment is a more comprehensive way, regardless of what conclusions you might have about President Trump currently, a broader way to ensure as we go forward, this body and the executive branch, the House down the hall, will not be corrupted by us making personal money by selling something like a stable coin or a meme coin, a digital baseball card, a way for people to essentially channel us cash pretending to buy a digital baseball card. So I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate resumes consideration of Amendment 2307, post-cloture, that the pending Amendment 2308 be set aside so I may offer my Amendment 2350, which more broadly covers the set of corrupting risks that we would be addressing, not just for the executive branch, but for the legislative branch as well.
Is there objection?
Mr. President?
Senator from South Carolina.
I object.
Objection heard.
Mr. President, I'm disappointed. I was very present when the majority leader said on this bill there will be an open amendment process. And we made it very clear that this was one of the issues that we felt we should be debating while we are in a cryptocurrency bill. There are other amendments that should be considered as well. One of them is to stop a form of scam that bypasses a bank teller by getting older folks to think they're wiring money to perhaps a nephew or grandchild in distress, but instead of wiring the funds, they go and get digital coins at an ATM as instructed, but in fact they're just giving the money to crooks overseas. That amendment should be considered. There are other amendments that address creating more sideboards so that this bill, which purports to regulate an industry, actually regulates it in an effective fashion rather than essentially endorsing an unregulated industry, which is what, in sum, this bill is currently. So I am disappointed. I would, as I asked earlier, for the majority leader to honor his previous commitment to have an open amendment process so that we can pursue the people's work fighting for a better America, including ending corruption in cryptocurrencies. Thank you, Mr. President.